so, you know, for a long time, we just hired people. We kind of felt in our gut, oh, these are good network people. But after a while, what we realized is we all wanted to go a little bit further. And so we used this checklist just for each of us to not only be more aware of how much we already have in network values. You've got to celebrate that. It's really important. But also where we want to change and then help each other. So again, remember this morning I talked about the Yay Kids. And they really have learned how to support each other in their growth and, you know, listen to each other's, especially fears and things like that. So that's the same thing. I use this with staff, and then they can take it to projects. And especially, this is good. Did you notice how you got like maybe a more trusting feeling with the person that you were really disclosing all this with? Well, this is a good a part of trust building. So to be able to share that kind of stuff with other people. And so even if you're working in a little project, to start out and say, hey, one thing that we've learned is that projects work better if people really know each other and they're really working on, you know, being even better network players. And then it becomes a little discussion that gets them thinking about both themselves and their whole network. Any more questions about it? Okay, well let's go on to the next part, which is also very, very fun, which is, you know, mapping your network. Now, you know, I mentioned that when people start actually making maps, whether we'll see, look at software-generated maps and hand-drawn maps, they get a better sense of exactly where they need to work to make that network better. So I worked with this 7 counties in some part of Iowa. And they were all workforce organizations, and they wanted to work together because it seemed like, because a lot of the businesses were saying, we can't find workers, so we're training, you know, whatever. And so what we did is we made a map, and we asked people, who have you worked with in the last couple of years? And so each person on here is a little, what we call a node, a little square, and then this line exists if they work together, if they both said that they work together. So now this area was very interesting in that it's a very, what we call a changing region, and it now had 20% Latino and Black population in the workforce, and that number was growing every year. So now here, if we look over here, what we did is we colored the nodes based on the racial and ethnic background of the folks. And what do you notice right away about this map? I showed them this map, I didn't say a word, I just kind of explained and said, well, what do you notice here? Right, okay, so you know, this is a set of white folks who've been working together. They're really well connected, right? You know, they're well connected, but all the people of color are there only 3 out of 100, but they're way on the outside of the network. So without judgment, and when people saw this, they were, oh wow, you never thought. They've been so used to being a white community that they had not even seen this. Because as soon as then I said, okay, here, I've taken from the internet, here's 20 you know, Latino, African American organizations in your community, you know, you might want to go talk to them. And they actually did. They just immediately said, okay, started deciding who's going to go out and talk to. So you see, sometimes this stuff is, you know, it's not. It needs a non-judgmental way for them to see. And mapping is very, very powerful, very powerful. So really change the nature of that group. Here's another situation where, so where we were working in a rural, 4 rural communities wanted to work together, but imagine this could be neighborhoods too. So we looked at this, we did 4 different, you can see there's pink and red and blue and black, and it looks at first glance like they're kind of connected, right? But what we did is we took away, there were regional staff, this was in Canada, regional staff who worked in all these regions, and when we took them out, what happened? look at the pink and the black areas aren't connected at all. The red's not connected to the black area. And so this is often because we're too hubby. See, look at this person. Yeah, you know, and so we're too hubby. And, you know, it's really good to look at a map sometimes, take ourselves out. Are we really connecting people, or are they having to connect through us? So very, very powerful kinds of things. And then what this group did was people in these communities said, oh, well, let's go here. I'm pretty well connected. How about if I go up and connect with somebody who's pretty well connected there? And then we know our networks pretty well. We can think about things that we have in common, something we might want to work together on. And when we did another map later, much better connection. So you can kind of do before and afters on these things. And there are metrics, we're not going to get into them today, but it's kind of interesting. Like this connector one, how connected are you? So here was a group of about 20 organizations, and they were just starting to get together to work on an innovation project. Their baseline, 72, which is a really low score. After 6 months of doing lots of network weaving, we had 25 network weavers, connecting people, finding out who was interested in what. Their score went up 20 times? Is that 20 times? Anyway, it went up a lot. So, you know, you can actually get these, and it makes people feel really good. Wow, we really got a lot more connected. But really, it takes a long time to do a computer kind of network project. And so here's where you start. And we're going to practice this today. So here I was working with about countries. These were people from four different islands in the Caribbean. And so you think you have troubles connecting, just imagine. And the worst thing, in the Caribbean, all planes go to Miami, Florida, not to each other. You can't even get a plane from one island to another. But they had a wonderful time talking. They were all doing, these are folks all doing youth programs. And they just, you know, they each one had a nice little network on their island, but then they realized, wow, we could learn so much from each other. And so they started thinking about how they could get together. So it's, you know, kind of a great way to get people, you know, that concretely, okay, we need to bring this group together, and this group together, and this group together. That's, I think, the next one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have you work on, well, no, I think that friend's friend was actually in there. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to have you do a mapping exercise at your table. Now, we need to have at least 4 people at each table, so a table of 2, you're going to have to move over, you're going to have to find another table. Maybe that one over there doesn't have too many. Just, you're going to need to, you don't need to move this minute. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to stand up when I get done with this, and you're going to go ahead and draw a circle. So draw a circle, and you can just put your initials in it if you want, you know. And so each of you have a circle on it. Then you're going to go around and see. You're going to see if anybody knows anyone else. So maybe you have 4 people. So maybe these 2 people know each other, or maybe this person's just a really network connector. These people know each other. You can put lines if you know each other. Then, but I would put these really yours kind of far apart. Then I'd like you to think about if you know somebody in common. Maybe you don't really know that person, but there's, you know there's somebody, here's somebody that you both know. Then the last step is I'd like you each to go around and share a challenge or you're having, or a resource that you need. You know, maybe a resource would be a really good thing because it's kind of concrete. What is a resource you need? Do you need meeting space? Do you need somebody who knows how to do web pages? Do you need some money? This will really test, are you in a network mindset, right? So you're going to take this person's going to say, oh gosh, I really need somebody who knows how to do good graphics. I need to take my book up a level. And so this person says, oh, I know X, and they'll put that person in there. And then this person will suggest, oh, I know somebody else that you could connect to. And so we'll see what your map looks like after this, okay? I'll come around if you have any questions.